Coming up, the evil twin comes out of hiding. We have flying shock absorbers. There's a creepy clown and some shiny parts. Welcome back to part 6 of Project Cologne. We are swiftly picking up where we left off in the previous episode and continue assembling the interior. There's a clip here. This goes there that I need to replace. I need a bigger one. And then this goes here. Oh, almost went down. So clip here. This thing. Now I just hope I don't forget to put anything in, because the next step is to put the dashboard in. Oh, come on. Now, there's a sensor. This one. So now I need to lift up like so. I need to go around. Progress. Final push. Oh, is it in? It's not in. Now it's in, from the looks of it. Yes. Yeah. So now this. Smack it down. Look how easy that clicks in. And it was a nightmare to get out. Pretty spot on. So now this plastic trim piece here. Now the glove box can go back. This is progress, ladies and gents. Progress. Where's my big screwdriver? I cannot find it. Keep losing stuff, man. Okay, I need to initiate a search for my big screwdriver. The screwdriver is nowhere to be found. Likely the archaeological diggers in about 2,000 years will find it. So let's move on. Perfecto. So I epoxied the broken piece of plastic like a pro. Let's press this in and hope it doesn't break. It didn't. And now the pedal itself. Good. And now I have a very nice piece de resistance. An M Sport dead pedal, or the M3 dead pedal, or footrest. Isn't it beautiful? Because this car is going to get a complete M Sport package from the outside and the inside, I decided I'm going to add all of the M bits. So starting with the footrest, it's also going to get door seals, and it's going to look really nice. I'm really loving this. Let's put it in. Oh yeah. A screw. The cluster. So. It's right on the money. Good. Out. Bow, bow. You know what? I didn't mind the gray interior, but now that the black carpet is in, it looks so much better. Really better. And especially with this being gray, two-tone, it's gonna look magnificent. So I bought another thing, and that is this beautiful Napa leather armrest. Really rare, and it goes perfectly along with the Napa leather seats. It's actually what I was missing, and I was really lucky, and I found this one for €50 used. It's pretty good condition, no big signs of wear. Gingerly it's in. Sweet Galileo, that is bad. And that's the central console and dashboard done. These trim pieces I'm going to do later because I bought replacement ones. They are actually alu cube trim, I believe, the black one, but I need to refurbish them a little bit, so I'm going to do that later, and I'm also going to show you how to do that. Slides up, basically nail this in. How do you remove these things? C30? Yes. This is tricky because it's moving about. Oh, yes. All right, before these can go in, I need to clean them. Corolock strong cleaner, good stuff. So this is all nice and clean and protected and ready to go into the car. Yes. I lift up. That is looking beautiful. Now we're going to focus on the front seats. The passenger seat just needs a good cleaning. It does have a bit of wear on the bolster here, but not enough to warrant repairs. So I'm not gonna do anything about this. This is just normal wear and tear, and it doesn't look that bad. So this just needs cleaning. This one here, however, Felix did an excellent job fixing the bottom part, and now I need to fix the bolster. This bolster is really bad. It's scratched here, here, and overall a lot of wear, and someone appears that already tried to repair it because you can see some discoloration here. So basically this section here and here needs to be re-dyed. Hoo-hoo. That's dirty. So this seat is thoroughly clean. This is how the bolster looks like. To repair the worn bolster, I'm using Color Lock leather repair kit, as I was very happy with the results on gray seats that I did in part 4. So now that all of this is nicely taped around, I can start sanding the bolster. Cleaner. Now we can start adding liquid leather right over here because it's pretty worn here. The leather is really thin. Now I'm gonna let it dry. So this is dry, which means I can sand it a little bit just to make it nice and flat. Here we have Color Lock leather dye. I sent them the headrest a while ago and they mixed the dye based on that. So this should match pretty well with the rest of the seat. Here we have our sponge and let's start dabbing. I wanted to say stabbing. I don't know why. Man, that is looking neat already. So that is looking pretty spectacular. And the color match is really, really good. It's not too matte. It's about the perfect shade of matte and shiny. Because this is black after all, so it's always gonna have a bit of gloss in it. But this and this and this and this, really good. You can still see some wear in the leather, but that's totally normal. And it's looking a million times better than before. Pretty spot on, huh? Enough time has passed, so now I can add leather sealer to the freshly re-dyed leather, which is this thing, Lederversicherung. Takes a while for that to soak in, but just look how good the bolster turned out. I know this is a bit different color because this is fresh leather, so it has more of that matte finish, but with time and as I use the seat, this is going to slowly become a bit glossy, like the strip above. So the carpet has been vacuumed for the final time, and now the seat can go in. Okay. It's in, and boy does it look pretty. final step to complete this is to install two-tone door panels. This is the final piece of the puzzle. Extremely rare leather door panels. I was looking for these for about 2 months, and I wanted these specifically because they have stitched handle. These are really, really rare, and to be honest, I didn't even know this was an option in E46, and most that I found are usually completely black, but these are two-tone from the factory, actually, from an individual E46 touring, and in beautiful shape, more or less. This one is cleaned, and the leather has no damage. There's Unix here and one there, but well, we can gloss over that. This is really gonna finish off the interior, and I cannot tell you how luxurious this feels when you touch it, because this is also Napa leather. This is the driver's side, and as you can see, it's really filthy, so I still need to clean that one. This hole here, because this car also had manual rear windows, will eventually turn into speaker hole. I'm gonna cut a bit more and then install a speaker there once I do the retrofit for the electric rear windows. That's coming in the future as well. The rest of the door panels have been cleaned, protected, and ready to be installed. Since we are converting this car to complete M Sport, this is needed as well. M door seals. I bought them as part of the deal with the M Sport bumpers, and I only paid 30 euros for this, which is a pretty good deal. They're in pretty good condition. No cracks, no stain in the plastic. Here's Mini for you. And by the way, a lot of people are asking me if those Jaguars or Land Rovers are mine. They're not. They are from my landlords. Does it slide? No. Does it pop? Oh. It's much nicer. Ah, my fingers. Snoop Dogg. Looking lovely. Now I just have to do this on all 4 corners. And look at this! Alu cube trim. That's to finish off the interior. Isn't that beautiful? So this one is pretty as well, but the problem with this one, it's plastic, and this is rubberized coating. So the one around the shift knob, it's peeling off and it has scratches, so it looks kind of ugly. So I need to replace it. And this is aluminum or metal, so it's heavier, nicer to touch and nicer to look at. This is the rest of the trim. These two are in pretty good condition without scratches, and these not so much. This one has a really big one here, and this one here is the worst because it has a ton of small scratches everywhere. This is the driver's door one. So I'm going to try a trick that I saw on forum, and that is to lightly sand this and repaint it. 2000 sand grit. Now let's see what happens. Alcohol. Drink coffee. And then to the paint booth. There we are. And semi-gloss black paint. Let it dry. Then add a few more coats, but this is already looking so much better. Most of the scratches I cannot even see now. So this one here has a really big scratch. The scratch is gone. Still kind of see it on a certain lighting because it is a scratch, but it's hiding pretty well. Pretty good results. I decided to do all of them just to have that perfect even finish all across. This is ready for the car. And push it in. Nice. So now I want to remove the vapor barrier and add some sound deadening material to the inside of the door. So that also hopefully helps with noise, and when you slam the door shut, it doesn't sound like a tin can. Basically, I just slapped in sound deadening wherever I could, completely randomly. So if this is going to be any improvement, I have no idea. So I have to admit, it does sound less tin canny. The interior is finito. And you know what? I had an image in my head, and now that it's pretty much come true, it looks even better than what I imagined. It looks absolutely stunning. It looks OEM, and that's because I used OEM parts. And I really like how gray goes in the middle on the doors. It's not too aggressive. There's not too much of it. That's the key. It's still black, but with a bit of gray, it looks absolutely perfect. And I believe I already mentioned this, I didn't want another car that's completely black, so that's why I went with this two-tone theme. And I think it looks really stunning. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up now and let you enjoy. I also need to swap in black carpets and plastic in the trunk, and probably next year I'll recover the headliner in Alcantara just for the heck of it and make this interior really unique. And now the time has come to upgrade the suspension. I previously complained that the ride was uncomfortable and crashing over bumps, and that had to be sorted. To significantly improve ride quality, I'll be installing Koni Special Active shocks. This is not sponsored, nor did they provide the parts. I bought these with my own dinero. I had their predecessor Koni FSD on my old 330 Ci ZHP back when I lived in Santa Barbara, and I was just blown away by how good the car drove. Comfortable on rough roads and yet still sharp and sporty on spirited drives. Since then, I knew I had to have them on my next E46, so here we are. I'll be also throwing in M Sport springs made by Swedish words. Given that now it has standard suspension, these should also drop down the car a bit, but by factory specification. I also bought everything new in the shock assembly as I won't reuse any of the old parts. I covered about 2,000 kilometers since all of that work was done and car was registered. So now is a prime time to see if there are any oil leaks. And right off the bat, I already saw that the oil pan is not leaking, thank baby Jesus. Rear main seal as well, dry, which is really surprising. I did not expect that. I was really expecting that to leak because it's very common at this stage of the car's life, but that's great news. Transmission, bone dry as well, really great. Steering rack is good. The only thing, we have a very slight seepage from this high pressure power steering hose that goes from the power steering pump to the steering rack. And it's not an active leak, but it is something that I'll need to take care of in the future. But that's not a big deal. That's relatively easy to replace. Other than that, everything looks spotless. And if you remember this car, it was absolutely covered in oil when I got it. And look at it now. Looking good. As you can see, we are kicking off with the front suspension. That goes under the car, and these rotors are complete garbage. They're squeaking under braking, they're a bit rusty, and I'm pretty sure they used some crappy brand as well. So I'm gonna be upgrading this next. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these struts were never replaced. You can see that the pinch bolt is untouched, but usually at this stage of the car's life, 200,000 kilometers, 20 years, they're really tired. So that would explain why the car drives so bumpy and uncomfortable. Whip out the sway bar link. By the way, I'm replacing the sway bar links as well, otherwise I wouldn't use a impact on them. Sway bar link off, and it's actually good. Unclip all of the wiring. There you go. Because we don't want to stretch the brake line. That's why I removed the caliper. So now we need to remove the pinch bolt, 18 mil. That's a lot of rust. Whew, I think I bought you one of these. There you go. I'm wrestling with the bear. This will not go more than that. When I did this on my old ZHP, which had M Sport suspension, I was able to lower the knuckle just enough and slide out the strut. But as this car has standard suspension, either because of different control arms or longer struts, it's not letting me do that, and I need to remove the control arm ball joint in order to move the knuckle out of the way. Yeah, pretty sure because these are standard shocks, I cannot swing them out of the way. So I'm gonna have to remove the bloody control arm. So brilliant, someone borrowed my ball joint popper and didn't return it. Things just keep getting better. So I can't find my ball joint popper. I think my neighbor borrowed it and didn't return it. So I'm gonna have to use a fork here, which is something that I hate to do. Start smacking. it popped. Now I need to pray to God that I didn't damage the boot. Probably did. Yep. The boot I can repair with a bit of sealant. And now it can come out. Easy as that. So what I'm going to do is use a bit of sealant here to patch it up. I need to upgrade these control arms at one point as well with M Sport control arms because they are different than the standard ones. I forgot what the exact difference is. So here's the strut that came out of the car, and you can see that the top bearing or strut mount is shot. It should not sound like that or spin as easy as that. So I'm replacing everything on this shock. Also, there's a lot of confusion on the internet where the spring sits, and it's always like this. It's never at the end, but a little bit offset here. What I like to do when I'm replacing the strut and reusing the springs is just make a little mark here with a pen, like that. Then you remove the spring pad, put it on the new shock, and mark it here as well. That way you know where the spring sits on the new shock. But obviously here I don't need to remove everything. So you can just use something to measure it and then do the same on the other one. It doesn't have to be exactly precise, but it's just important that it goes here. Otherwise you'll get funky ride height. And this is about 23 millimeters. New parts for the strut assembly. So new spring pad. Can also make a mark on it. Break out the spring compressor. Next, clean the shaft. By the way, when removing and reassembling shocks, never use vice grips to hold the shaft here. You're going to damage it, and then you're going to have a leaking shock because it won't be able to seal here. The bump stop and dust boot can go in. That goes through there. Then the upper spring perch, the washer, the top mount. Koni supplies their own nut and a washer, but BMW nut already has a self-locking collar here, so I'm going to use BMW nut. For the top nut, you need a special BMW tool or any like oxygen sensor socket, 21 millimeter, that has a cutout on the side so that you can torque the top nut while using an Allen key to hold the shaft. I conveniently forgot to buy that tool, so I'm using a spark plug socket 21 that I can put in here, and then Allen key here to hold the shaft, and then I'm just going to use wrench to tighten it down. I won't be able to use a torque wrench here, but that doesn't matter because this is a self-locking nut, so you just need to make sure it's tight. That's tight enough. By the way, you can see the difference between the new top mount and the old one. So now that this is lined up, I can slowly start to release the tension. The bottom one is out. The top one as well. Oh, there it is. By the way, this spring compressor tool is phenomenal. Highly recommend it. The coil is in perfect position on the bottom end and perfect position on the top end. That's all there is. So now the dust cap, that's remarkably difficult to put in. The reinforcement plate goes on top, just like that. And we have brand new nuts for the top. Yep. Have to make sure that on top the pin is aligned, which it is. So I did manage to tear the ball joint boot with the fork. This is the reason why I don't like to use them. But as I said, I couldn't find my tool. I think my neighbor borrowed it, so I had to do it that way. So this is not too bad. The tear is really small, so I just used a bit of sealant, and once that is dry, it's still going to hold. It's not going to let dirt in. Oh, this is now double trouble. Ah, there you go. Give me back my socket. So now I need to align this pin like so. Put some tension. Right, as soon as it starts to lift, spot on. Time to torque. So I think I'm gonna replace the sway bar link after all, because the bottom one seems to be bad. The upper one is good, but the bottom one is bad. New sway bar link and sway bar bushing. You can see how the new ones, when you push them to the side, they stay there. That's how you know they're good. Now I just need to copy paste the same on the right side. This side is done as well. Now we can move on to replacing sway bar bushings. I just want to refresh them because I'm already in here. I'm also going to have to upgrade the sway bar link because the M Sport one is 24 millimeters and this one is 23. I'm gonna go look up the torque spec. 21, but tighten with the car on the ground. Torque the lug nuts. Now I need to drive back and forth. So torque under load. That is the front suspension officially done. So to access the shock mount bolts here and here, all of this needs to come out, which is actually not a lot of work. So let's start taking stuff out. Lift up, 10 mil nut. Come on. There you go. The clip. Good. Unplug that. Yeah, good. And the shock mounts are here. And as we know, they were already replaced on this car. So, yeah, pretty easy to access here. Good morning. It's the following day. Up you go. Get the gloves. Yes. Lock it in. So this shock is new. It was replaced at some point, as well as the spring. It's very shiny, but all of this stuff will need to go. Oh, and there's my rusty brake line. So now I'm gonna unbutton the wheel speed sensor wire from the trailing arm. Okay, so now we need to support here before I take this bolt off, because all of this is gonna drop. Let's position the Hugh Jackman like so. Now we can whip out this bolt. There it is. Could have supported that a bit better, if I'm being honest. Floppity flop. So back into the vehicle. So now I need to hold it. And it's out. Replacing rear shocks on E46 is literally the easiest thing in the world. So this shock is actually shot. Have a look at this. Compressed all the way. Barely comes out. And when I try to do it quickly, it just drops in. And you can see that the old Monroe, whatever this thing is pronounced, is shot. I don't know how long this has been on the car, but it can't be that long. They don't look too bad. They're not rusty. This is kaput. Let's assemble the shock really quickly. Conveniently, Connie comes with bump stops and boots, but I forgot that and I bought new ones from BMW, so I wasted about 40 euros on those. And this dust boot has a built-in washer on the top, and on BMW one you have dust boot, washer here, but here it's not needed because it's like that. Then the shock mount comes with a new gasket. This is the washer. And I also bought a reinforcement plate. This is also a BMW part. It goes on top in the car. You don't need to use Loctite here because this is a self-locking nut. If you're using a new one, that is. You'll feel it coming to a full stop. And that's both shocks ready to go in the car. And now we can continue wrestling with the springs. I think I know a trick that I saw on the internet, and that is to use the factory supplied jack for the car here and then push on the trailing arm and remove the spring. So let's try that. It appears it's working, and that's plastic, so it won't damage the body. A bit more then. Would you look at that? That was easy. So now we're going to replace the sway bar link, and this is the corroded brake line, well, slightly corroded brake line that the tooth inspector told me about. It wasn't a failure, but now I'm just gonna treat it with something so it looks better. Ah, yeah. Well, that one, great. No. Stupid ass design. Could have used the bolt. I'm just waiting for something to snap and then, there it is. So here's a new Lemforder one, OEM. Clean this and then use liberal amounts of silicone spray. Oh yeah. In you go. It comes with new nuts and bolts. I also have new sway bar bushings, but these brackets are looking really rusty and crappy, so I don't want to reuse those, and I don't have new ones. So I'm gonna come back and replace this some other time because I need to order new brackets and bolts. I'm gonna put a rust converter. Rust converter, that's gonna take some time to convert, usually about 24 hours, so we're gonna leave that be, and then I'll come back some next time and put a lick of black paint over it. Right, so now we can do the same trick as before. So let's see. That's in. That's in, let's slowly release. Super easy. This goes under the car, and then on top I'm putting reinforcement plates. This is nice. Have a brand new bolt. Start lifting. This one gets torqued with the car on the ground. Done. And here's how that looks. Reinforcement plate, new nuts. We are pretty much done with this side. Just need to put the wheel back on and rinse and repeat on the other side. Gotta relocate my paint booth. You know why I'm so happy today? Today's my day off. I don't have to work my shitty job. I'm in the garage doing what I love, fixing junk, instead of being behind a computer and fixing someone else's problems. And we're officially done with the suspension upgrade. For a job well done, I'm rewarding myself with a chocolate croissant. And not just any croissant, the creepy clown one. They actually sell these here at the supermarkets, and it is as creepy as it gets. It's for children. It is tasty though. So now I'm gonna put some kilometers on the car, and then in a few thousand kilometers, I'm gonna give you my impressions about the suspension. Right now, I'm gonna go for a small test drive just to check that everything is okay, that there's no like knocking noises, anything like that. So that's what I'm gonna do now. But a bit later, maybe in voiceover, I'll tell you how the whole car feels. But I'm thinking it's gonna feel a lot better, especially considering that the rear shocks were completely shot and the car was basically riding only on the springs in the back. So yeah, it's gonna ride better. I still need to do wheel alignment and put more kilometers on it, but just driving around the city, I can already tell you that it's a totally different car. I used to hate driving on bad roads, but now it glides over smaller imperfections in the road, and bumps and holes are absorbed softly and with refinement. Exactly what I wanted. I'll comment more on it in future episodes. Well, I hope you're having a good time following along. I'm having a blast working on this E46 and doing all of the small and big upgrades. It's just a great platform to fulfill your car passion. The choice of used and new parts is plentiful, and most of the time you won't break the bank, unlike with that thing. I also have a new exhaust coming for it, so we're going strong with this project. A lot of you, and I mean a lot, have been asking me about Project Riley, and nothing has changed since the last time. Still works, Still haven't touched it. Haven't even washed it yet. I did buy 2 main parts for it, rod bearings and rod bolts, but in order to fully finance this project, this silver stallion needs to be sold first. Do expect the final episode on Project Dubai somewhat soon. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you liked the video, consider subscribing. And a very big thank you to all of my lovely Patreons. See you next time. He did a good job. He really did. Huh. Who knew?